Good. All right, I'm Dave Markel, and I used to be the Cub Scout Roundtable Commissioner.
We're getting him back.
Maybe.
Come on.
So trying.
All right.
But anyway, I volunteered to help with this conversation because I think as all of us being Cub leaders or former Cub leaders, let's say it's a struggle to get volunteers and let alone kind of turn over the leadership of the pack. So key 3 members, then leaders, all that stuff. So this conversation is really based about how are we going about doing that? What are the things that we're doing and what we should be doing to make sure that there's always someone in the wings to continue the pack leadership, because without leaders, the pack goes away. So I guess first and foremost, is there anyone right now who is in the throes of trying to find key 3 members? Okay, right here.
I'm cheating. I found mine. So
yeah. Okay, so
You brought yours with you.
For the people online, can you say your name and your position at what pack you're in?
Sure. Hi, my name is Stephen Baxton. Hello. And I am the treasurer for Pack 195. And I am transitioning out. My youngest scout in the pack is a bear right now. So I have his BALOO year in order to find someone, because by the time I get to AOL, we've committed as a committee group to not hold key positions.
Oh, very nice. Well,
That's good.
that's good. You're doing it before you're gone.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It allows me time for transition and also maybe shadowing and training for the person coming in. So fathom that.
And conveniently so, I brought my Cub Master in the same position.
Our youngest are in the den. We have, I think, potential people who will hopefully step up in the next year, but no one's thrown their hand up yet, Ed. I'm gonna start putting the thing out, hey, I'm gonna be done, not this June, but the next June. I will not go on the charter.
Have you
Would
been?
you like to still have a pack? We need to have someone on the charter.
Gotcha. And then,
Yep. And I'm Joe. I'm the committee chair, and this is my last full year as committee chair. My daughter will be in AOL next year, and we'll be heading into a troop at that point. And this is Liz, and Liz is the new committee chair, who we
Okay.
are training up and getting into all the other.
so basically you're looking for a Cub Master.
We're looking for a Cub Master.
Okay, do you have at least a chartered org rep?
Yeah, he's not going.
Okay, good. Okay, at least you got your key 3, but I know like our friends here at Pack 383. Both of you guys, I mean, so Patrice, you want to, let's say where we're at for our transition and our leadership of the pack?
We just recently well, our core has been with us for a while, but we transitioned our committee chair to our new committee chair, Justin. And then I came in as Cub Master last year, so yeah.
Okay, and then, but, so we talked about a little bit of the struggle of how transitioning could be and handing off roles and training. And so that being said, okay, well, you guys are looking for folks, and again, not everyone is raising their hands to jump in. Is anybody here short den leaders, or wondering how that's gonna work, right? So we're in that boat too. So it's the whole 9 yards.
We're short a whole den. We have no lions. I am the saddest lion guide in the whole world.
That's a recruitment challenge.
We are living in our ears. We need kindergarten.
We've had at least 5 families be interested. So sure, I'll be there. I'll be the next meeting. And it's me sitting there sad in the meeting alone.
You know, we have a lot of people excited at the kindergarten age, but a lot of times they don't start showing up till Tiger after, because they're still trying to figure out school.
Yeah.
You know, so we just don't quit on those folks, because eventually we had a lion that was there, talking about being a lion, and he all of a sudden showed up as an AOL.
So
But he brought his younger sibling, who is a lion, so the Atkins family. So I mean, we've had Orion who just crossed into a troop. He's been on our roll many times, and then find out he finally showed up, which was great to see. And his dad is super enthusiastic, so. Go ahead.
So we have Heather and Derek
Oh, yeah.
Sturgill online. So their committee chair Cub Master duo. They do have successors who expect to be assistants this year. So they're successfully doing the understudy, which is, I've seen that work so well.
Yep.
To bring somebody in, offer them the assistant job, and then flip when they're ready and support them on your way out. Right.
That's awesome. I know
Super.
Derek was in Woodbadge as part of how do you support the pack,
Yeah.
as well as because the pack was going to feed the troop. So hopefully you guys are been able to feed your troop as well, and you guys are in leadership roles at your troop then, right?
There's transitions there as well, but they're doing okay.
Okay.
Scouts are all in. They're doing their thing.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess, so what do we want to talk about as far as how do we get that word out? What are we doing? I know our pack, and I know what Patrice has been doing. you know, every one of our meetings and every one of our PAC meetings, there's a slide about open leadership positions, volunteerism, opportunities to lead.
Does that work? To stand in front of everyone and say, we need a new treasurer?
Yes.
It does?
No, I got it.
Okay.
It's got a committee chair, it's got STEM leaders, it's got assistant dev leaders, it's worked really well. There's
So
like-
My experience is hit and miss. Sometimes everyone takes a step back. And sometimes somebody will say, I can do that. My personal experience, for what it's worth, the direct ask, Dave, I think you would be an amazing committee chair. Would you be willing to think about it, right?
I've done that as well.
So trying to hit both is okay. The thing that I found, I'm sorry to interject here, but
No, you are.
standing in front of your pack month after month. We need a new Cub Master, I have to go. Right?
No.
Part of it's attitude, but a
Oh.
lot of it is finding the right person.
Right, well, that's, go ahead.
So one thing that I've been trying to do is trying to flip that on its head and not talk about, I need treasurer, the pack is gonna fold with this, pack's gonna fold without these positions, need them, and just talk about how much fun I have as
Yeah.
treasurer. And this is such a fun thing to do, and I've gained so much out of this, and I've earned so
Yeah.
many experiences out of doing this. Share how I've enjoyed this role to kind of energize, get someone to say, maybe I want.
That's awesome.
That's good, because enthusiasm, I've got, nobody wants to go into a job that someone's complete, like drudgery.
Uh-huh.
Like,
So terrible.
I don't want to, it's painful.
Yeah.
It's like, great, what an awesome endorsement. No, I agree, you gotta go with enthusiasm.
Yep.
But we have been in desperate before where we really need a position filled.
Yeah.
And I literally took a chair at the front of the PAC meeting and it's like, we literally have an empty position. I'm going to stand here and stare at all of you until somebody comes and sits in the chair, literally, and it did work.
It did work. It did work.
It did.
Well, the thing is, so it's kind of two sides of this, because granted, we can go on forever, and when we have a drip campaign, it's constant, and eventually we get somebody to come in, but at that point, they understand, and especially if their kids are having fun, and now the leaders that say they're needing to go really have to get going. And so nothing more like, you know, being at the brink of disaster without even just, someone's gotta do it. And I think there are a lot of folks, I don't know if it's a sign of the times, but nobody has time.
Yeah.
Everybody, and then everyone is stressed, so we all know, we're carving out, we're doing it because we believe in it. And you can't do anything unless you make the time for it. We make the time for it, even though we could be doing a dozen other things right now and still be busy. So I get it. And so the thing is, how do you find other people who are gonna be committed to doing that? I know we keep leaning on the same few people, are like, you know, you're all wearing multiple hats. I know Sturgill's wearing every hat. So the thing is, we all wear multiple hats, and so how do we maintain that enthusiasm? Because I know that we believe in the program. I believe in the program. So what about training? I know that at least our PAC, we've always incorporated in our PAC fees, the ability to pay for the leadership fees and also any training they want to take.
Yep.
So if you guys are doing that, that's great. I think it's a great suggestion because we already know we all contribute our own time and treasure and we don't ask for reimbursements for a lot of this. We do because we're scouting nerds and it's cool to have certain things. So it's kind of nice to say, hey, well, the only way you're gonna get paid is if you go to Wood Badgets, you know, that's what we pay you. And it's a good experience. And a lot of times it counts for professional development at work. But also whether they go BALOO, they do, you know, University of Scouting, there's like a $10 fee,
I see at
$5.
least 2 U of S passes in the back of that jacket.
Right, the PAC, our PAC will pay for it, just encourage them to go there, because why not? And then just gonna go to one University of Scouting, even if they're not, we tell people if they're not in a sign up leader position, you go and you see all these people volunteering, you're kind of inspired.
So
Steve,
one of the things you're mentioning kind of, and Virginia has a really good point I'm gonna come back to in a minute, but you have a good point in terms of training, that if we get somebody into a role, we need to make sure we onboard them. They know what the deal is, they know what they're doing, and they get that fundamental level of training. Does anybody have like a checklist or a punch list they use? Joe's laughing.
I am a professional technical writer, and my project this year is while I'm onboarding Liz, I am documenting everything I do.
Yeah.
Whether that's managing bottle drop, whether that is, you know, adding new scouts or accepting new leaders, I'm documenting
Everything. Every month, every task, right?
Yeah.
Right, yeah, recurring or otherwise.
And that way
Okay.
it becomes a knowledge base for our unit.
You can hand it off to the next person, and she can hand it off to the next person.
Yeah.
I
Otherwise,
appreciate that as a Cub Master that came in with middle of COVID of like, here you go, good luck. And I'm like, oh, I not only have to be a Cub Master, be a virtual Cub Master. That's never existed before. And I had very little material. And that was one of the biggest things when Joe came on board. I was like, we need to train everybody because I want this to never happen to another human being again.
We tell great campfire stories. Training should not be random campfire stories.
I know, but so Patrice, I know you've been a student of this and also creating your own manuals and procedures for the pack as part of even your development. Like, what are some of the things that you're doing for like because I know you created the whole thing for all your future den leaders.
Yes, I created basically a manual for each level of pack as part of my wood badge. And it has like kind of a summary sheet, has a roster, it has
Beautiful.
a planning
So
thing.
beautiful.
And I was actually gonna talk with you
Hi.
about somehow making it more available
Okay.
to the rest of the district.
I'm here for
To the council.
Awesome.
And that's been helpful to bring den leaders in because the problem is people are like, well, I'm kind of interested in being den leader. What do they do? And it's like, well, okay, it's gonna be okay, you know, it's like, this is what den leaders do. And I
Okay.
kind of distilled it. Now, I'll be honest, you can go on the scouting webpage, they do have a 3-page booklet telling you how to be a den leader, and it's inside a book. Which is awesome, but this is for like the user-friendly version.
The best one is chartered org rep, and I swear every single COR I meet is different and they do different things. And Virginia's question is dials right into that. And her question is, you can go online and find all these, what is a Cub Master? What is a Scout Master? What is a committee chair? And it'll give you the 3-page, right? Exactly. Her question is, does anybody use or have a, oh my gosh, I lost it here. Unit bylaws to outline the responsibilities. Here's what Pack 383's Cub Master does and their committee chair. Does anybody do that?
We need a
Have my list.
It's on your list?
We
Okay.
need a pack leader.
Joe's going sort of.
Yeah, we kind of have a leadership guide that is essentially, it's sort of that. It's
Yeah.
not, and it actually came up when we were recruiting some of our leaders, is we literally took our leader descriptions, printed them out and put them on a table.
There you go.
and people could see them.
Yeah.
It's something that I'm working on readapting into kind of our knowledge base again, because and I also especially like what we're doing with the code of conduct this year, because we're just gonna turn that into our leader onboarding as well.
Oh,
It's
interesting.
like, hey, this is our code of conduct. This
Yeah.
is what we expect of our leadership. Because
Absolutely.
we've had some in the past that were unpleasant, and we had to struggle bust our way through that. And if we can get ahead of that and be like, here's what we expect of our leaders, here's how our pack works.
Like the classic phrase of how was I supposed to know this? It wasn't written down anywhere. So we're
Right.
like, we will. We are writing it down and we show it to them when they come on board. This is what you're agreeing to. This is it.
And
Yes, I have seen that work great in some other units across the council where they give that to them as soon as parents sign up so that they know it's a volunteer group, it's a team effort, there are expectations, you're going to be asked to volunteer at some point. What do you like to do? So another best practice for sure.
And in our pack, we use what used to be, I think it's still out there, the getting to know you sheet. What was it?
Right. It's like not a thing.
The family something. It was like,
The talent.
the talent survey. Thank you.
Survey.
And at least you get to know everybody just a little bit. Oh, Dave has a truck. Somebody has a van or whatever.
Right, okay,
Yeah.
you're so you.
But what I was gonna mention is every single pack in our district operates a little bit differently. Sometimes the Cub Master is the big cheerleader, sometimes it's the committee chair, sometimes it's a pairing, and there's no wrong way. But if you put it down, this is how we kind of operate, and somebody else comes in, oh, okay, I can fit into that role. That's really helpful, I think, right?
And Patrice, did you introduce, I'm not sure the new parent packet, didn't we have a new parent packet that we
Oh,
were?
no, that's a summer project.
That's not the
So
summer.
I recently joined, my daughter crossed over, and so she's 870, and the first thing they did, first meeting, was hand this parent guide, and I said, thank you, because now I'm gonna make this into our parent guide.
There's even a code of conduct that we have a code of conduct that gets thrown there too.
Awesome.
I think the expectation for volunteerism should, somewhere in that, should be part of that, because everyone, and a lot of people feel like this is a drop-off program, but it is not.
Babysitters of America,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
No,
Yeah,
it's
it's
not what we are.
Especially, well, you have to tell them that you can't just leave them at a tiger den meeting. But the thing is, we know that there's a lot of parents who somehow feel like they have nothing to offer and they can just kind of hide in the back, but no, we understand that Cub Scout program is run by everyone, and we need all the parents to make it work. In fact, it'd be hard pressed. Most of our parents have a role in one capacity or another, at least one time we did.
Along those lines, something that I found for just recruiting scouts and for leaders is to kind of let the kids' accomplishments show, like my oldest just crossed over. And he showed up, he had his full red vest. I was running out of places to put stuff.
Mhm.
He got 2 supernova medals. He had his full Nova patch and everything. And parents were like, wow, he's done a lot of stuff. And I was like, and I got to do it with him. We had so much fun together and now I get to go watch him cross into a troop. And it's beautiful and it's fun and kind of letting your kid be your brag to get parents to volunteer. Like, you want this for your family? You can have it. Let me, here's position.
Sure. I mean, that's what we try, and also we have lucky our pack is, the school lets our pack do the flag for every assembly. And so, the kids showing up with their uniforms and dressing up is a good way to kind of help promote the program too, but the whole parent thing though, the key is like, you get to do it with them.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, that's huge. Anything to add? Yeah.
I think like you really do want to foster like that. I think one thing that our pack has going for is that they see new people coming in, they see new people volunteering, even though they might not know exactly what to do yet. And the thing is to like not be like, we need a volunteer, you've got to do this, to be like, no, you want to be part of the team, come join us. And that's been really a big selling point, that they see that we're so active because everybody's active.
I think one thing that I've tried to voice out there is I'm a very enthusiastic scouter. I really enjoy this. I enjoy spending all my free time doing these things about this. And that's one way to do it, but that's not the only way to do it. There is a base level, a smaller amount that needs to get done for just that role. And if you don't want to do what I do, that's okay. The job can still get done.
Even though we did do the meeting where we trapped people in the room and said, we're not leaving till you volunteer, that was not a big position.
Yeah.
We would never do that for Cub Master or anything.
Oh, sure.
That,
Yeah.
that
Right,
makes me.
it's more the banquet chair,
Yes.
I asked what it entailed, and that was volunteering.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you got it. I'm like, but I just want to know what I was doing.
So
But all of
we-
a sudden now you're the.
And now the committee chair.
We had one in my pack where somebody who is now in the OA and helping out with our troop in the district wanted to vote because she didn't think that this thing that we decided to do was better than this thing. And I said, well, to vote, you have to be a registered volunteer. So here's an application. Right. And that speaks to another point of Virginia is who here has new member coordinators?
That's
So good.
All right.
Yes, or like a welcoming committee. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So I've worked for scouting for almost 16 years now. So I have gone out, visited units, and I have walked into groups and no one has said hello to me. That's wild. If you were a parent walking into a group, you want to feel welcomed. You want to feel like you're a part of it, right? So that is really important. Another good practice.
What makes for a really good new member coordinator? What have you guys seen?
The instant responses, so like
Okay.
our member coordinator, as soon as like there's something.
Phone call, email, they're right there.
It's like, but here is our next meeting, you're welcome to come to, here's our next this is our next this. Oh, you want to know more, can contact me or
Yeah.
contact our Cub Master or.
He's
That's
been
that's
doing it
awesome,
since
yeah.
His son was a tiger with me and I know.
So he knows the
Yeah, I
program.
would kick it
He
to
knows
him
what-
and we had to hand up and he
Yeah.
he ran with it and he's still running with it.
I was gonna say, someone who is passionate. Our new member coordinator, her son is just doing insanely well with the scouting program.
Cool.
He's amazing to watch, and she takes that passion and she explains that and shares it with people. And it's fantastic to see. In regards to the greeting things, I am a little gregarious. And so
A little?
I will go around.
A little, Joe?
A little. I will go around at our meetings and just like introduce myself to everybody. It doesn't hurt that I'm face blind, so I never remember who anybody is. So it's always a new introduction for me. Like, hi, we met. But yeah, it's getting people involved, with, making pleasant conversation, being like, who's your scout? Oh, they're doing well, etc. Make observations. Anyway.
Yeah, we make an effort to make sure that any new face coming into our pack meeting is introduced and who's their scout, who are they, and just make them feel welcome. And then you know, it's important for us to do that. And again, our new member coordinator, I mean, even his daughter, who was not scout earlier, is now in scouting at 162.
Okay.
You know, Ozowski's, you know.
Oh, yeah,
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 so,
Hannah, yeah.
anyway,
She's doing well.
yeah, she's great, and so is Keith and the family, so it's, the key is like, how do we get more? As good as, even as we felt our pack was, or your pack is. There's still, you know, like, people are not, everyone's kind of like, 1, 2, 3, not it. 1, 2, 3, not it, and, you know, like, hot potato, don't look at me. But that's tough, how do we overcome that?
So when I was starting to put together sort of the sales pitch for being a new committee chair, thank you, by the way. I sat down and I wrote down a list of everything that I did. And it was terrifying. It was this monstrous list of all of the different tasks I did, all the different little projects I was part of, the communication loops I was in. And then I sat back and I went, wait a minute. This isn't what a committee chair is. A committee chair is a subset of all of this. And so being very clear about what the baseline expectations of a role is like, your job as the committee chair is, you know, organizing meetings. It is, you know, setting up agendas for parent leader meetings. It is empowering the other adults in the pack to do their best work with paperwork. Yeah, it's not running all these different things. It's not taking point on all this.
It's more
stuff.
than other things when you start taking on too many things.
Exactly.
It's very daunting.
And if you
the
want to
person
go
who
do
takes
that, then that's fine. But at the baseline, as a committee chair, this is, you know, you're in these meetings, you're facilitating the paperwork, you're responsible for clicking that accept on new members sort of thing. Yeah, it's not that bad when you break it down.
For what it's worth, I've seen that happen a lot. It happened to me. And there was a thing that they did when I graduated from my pack where they started stacking hats on me and listing off all the things that I did. This was Hardin and his wife Eva. And there were pictures of me with about 20 hats stacked up on the top of my head. And what I try to do is exactly what you're thinking is delegate.
Yeah.
But it's easier to say that than it is to find the right
really
people.
is.
Can you take my precious thing that I've created, right?
I will say, the best way that I have found to do it is
Mhm.
instead of saying, I want you to take on this role, I want you to perform this one task.
Yeah.
If you can turn it from a role-based, like, you know, you're going to be our Pinewood Derby coordinator. It's like, all you need to do is host a meeting.
Yep.
Like, that's the task.
Yep.
Host a meeting with these people, it'll happen.
And for our blue and gold banquet, the coordinator was really nervous about it. She hadn't really taken any kind of role in the pack before. And she was like, I don't know how to do this. Like, can you throw a party? Just gonna stand up and do the talking part for you.
Not only that,
All the rest. And she
a
was-
party, not only that, a party for elementary school kids. What can go?
Well, she did not need much help from me. It was great.
A lot of times they just need one example or one victory, and then boom, they're like,
I got this.
You know, no problem. I don't know. I mean, Jessica, what do you feel like you took over a role that from someone who did a lot of things. So how did you compartmentalize it to a point where you felt like you could handle the committee chair? Because I know that there wasn't a lot of transition, which there should have been.
There was no.
There should have been, but there wasn't.
No.
But how did you manage like separating that and to the point where you feel like you can breathe? Because I know there seemed to be a lot.
I don't know that I did.
Oh, yeah.
I take it one thing at a time. You know, like what needs to get done now versus, okay, I've got a little bit of time for that. You know, Patrice and I had to work very closely on getting the camp registration. I still feel like it could have gone smoother, but you know, I had no training, so I'm doing the best I can with what I got. So just a step at a time and checking in with Patrice and making sure that she feels supported. Like that's really what, you know, my goal is checking in and being like, do you feel supported in everything that I could be doing to help you?
And it is a thank you.
Really strong Q3 right now, and I think it's because we text a lot. We just talk to each other all the time, and as soon as something comes up, we're like texting, and it's.
And that is true. I did a lot of texting.
Yeah.
I did a lot of texting, so.
And as long as you keep those conversations going, it's easier to get everything done. You don't really have to worry about who's doing what. You just divide it amongst you guys and just keep moving on.
And I'm just curious about CORs, because you talk about CORs not having as much guidance, because, you know,
Every COR is unique.
right, 'cause depending on what type of chartered org is, you know, ours PTO members a very involved parent, but also have two boys in the pack.
That's
So-
perfect, by the way, to have somebody
Yeah,
who's
mine.
in
Sorry,
both
well,
sides.
one in the pack, one in the troop.
That's enough
There you
though. If you have one with a foot in scouting and a foot in the organization, that's the perfect person to be a COR.
And so, and crazy connected. So I
Yep.
mean, made it very easy. I don't know any other COR that's gonna be as effective as she's been. So how do you, it's hard to replace somebody that who's been like a mainstay for your unit. How do you find that person? And
Hmm.
sometimes you feel desperate because you're leaving. I saw nothing, so it's like you have to throw up the whole ultimatum thing, right? Which is just terrible because we had another pack full that joined, all their AOLs joined us. Because nobody else wanted to take on that leadership
Just
role.
on their way right through to the
We
troops.
literally-
Wow.
In October, brought on like how
We
many?
doubled our.
We doubled our AOL.
AOLs. We went from 7
To
to
15.
Wow.
Yeah, so we had a
Wow.
monster class, but it's just like,
That's wild.
but it's weird that that whole pack, it just folded. So we took on all the counts who want to keep going on. So lucky they stayed scouting, but you hate to hear about a pack imploding.
Yep.
Right? So.
To echo your point about communication, we have a Discord. And we are nonstop in there. Like there's always people talking about den events, people talking about hiking events, people talking about, we have a nonstop line.
Yeah, but Discord chatting.
It's Discord
Yeah,
chat, yeah.
yeah.
So it's like Slack or.
Sure, I use it
Teams
for,
or
I use it for
whatever.
game.
Yeah.
It works
do.
great for scouting.
Okay,
But what it is that it's like when you start letting parents and other volunteers know that it is absolutely okay. In fact, it's almost expected that people reach out for help, for advice,
Mhm.
like we're a group
Or
throwing this together. for our
ideas,
kids.
welcome the ideas to come
Yeah.
in, right?
Yeah.
Be like, hey, if you need any help with anything, we're here. If we need help with stuff, we'll ask, lead by example. And at the same time, like we aren't professionals, we're all volunteers, we're all kind of making this up and doing our best as we go. So if you've got ideas, if you've got concepts, if you wanna, we had our hiking club evolved out of a parent going like, more often. And we're like, cool, make it happen, let's go.
Right.
And it's one of the most successful programs that we've seen.
One of the other amazing things about our Discord server is I can say, what did we do for fall camp out last year? Oh, that's right. I have all the communication thoughts,
Just
ideas.
roll it back to the
And
date
then,
of what it was.
and then I have all the photos that everybody took and posted after the event, and I can see exactly what happened. And I have a starting point.
If I forget to take roll for something, I have to go buy pouches.
Uh-huh.
Look at the pictures, exactly, they were there, right, so
Yep.
pictures are great.
Yep.
So real quick, for
yeah,
what it's
but-
worth,
yeah.
I miss the communication simplicity at the Cub Scout level. For some of you who know, when you get to the Scouts BSA troop level, and it's youth led, and you have to be very careful, and Discord is a challenge. And enjoy it while it lasts.
Yeah.
Because the purity of just reaching out to Joe and Dave and everybody else, Patrice, hey, what about as soon as you have a senior patrol leader over here who's 14, and you got to make sure you're doing the right thing, it gets ridiculous. Enjoy it.
Well, that's the thing too, is I
Go
realize
for
at the BSA level, like you think, okay, why isn't this in scout book? Why aren't we talking? It's like, well, if the kids don't do it, then
Yeah.
that'd be a learning moment for why things fail. And it's like,
Absolutely.
even though you're like, if only somebody just said something, but we can't,
Yep.
that's their learning.
Exactly.
But, oh gosh, I guess. So I just, hearing all this awesomeness, it just makes you, it's just weird to feel that we've got struggles still to maintain that, and even the best units are gonna have moments where they struggle finding volunteers to come in and take over for the younger den ranks, because I think all parents who come in who never had scouting experience feel like you need to be God's gift to scouting, to wear the tan shirt and be the person up front, but you don't have to be.
Yeah.
You can come in, like, never scouted once, I went a couple hikes, you know what I mean, and call it good.
That's what I tell people. I was barely involved in my son's line year because I was working a lot. And then literally, hey, the pack's about to fold, we need to come master. And I was like, sure, I have nothing better to do now. No scout experience. I was the highest scout I ever was, a brownie, so I never really had a lot of experience.
We're a brownie.
Yeah, and I just went on to be virtual cup master to start, and I tell people, I can make it up, we have a very strong pack now.
Yeah.
Anybody can make it up.
Absolutely, no, I don't.
And there were things I got wrong, and I sat there like, oh God, how did I do this so horribly? But
It's true, that every time you finish that each pack meeting, you're like, it's over, I survived another pack meeting, but you know what? You build confidence And like most of my
You'll learn.
tenure was during
You take
COVID.
notes.
Online,
Yeah.
the wheel of names.
Yeah,
the
you
raffles.
started like what, 2 or 3 months before, or was it?
I got
4?
put in the June before.
Okay, so you had like 8 months because I went to your meeting and it was like this is
The
happening,
meeting was my last meeting before COVID.
like March 12th or
Yeah,
something.
so
It
we had-
was
we had my meeting
nuts.
ceremony and then everything after.
Everything
So
shut
first one for
down.
the next 2 years.
But I give a lot of credit to Josh Steinhurst, he was the committee chair.
Done. Just.
He was just like, whatever you want to do, I'll just tell you if it's not okay and we'll keep going with it.
Right, so that's the thing with volunteerism, right? You don't ever want to squash or stifle it, so.
Yeah.
Even though we might have to survive certain personalities, because I hate to look a gift horse in the mouth, but the thing is, no one else is gonna step up, then you need to massage that.
My
So we gotta
favorite
find-
that he ever said to me was, do you think we can make that work practically?
Oh, that sounds like Josh.
Yeah, it does.
That totally sounds like Josh. The thing is, yeah, how do we steer folks in a way that everyone can survive it and we're not gonna make any major gaps?
Okay, I
Yeah,
have an
yeah.
answer to that, and I want to bring this up and ask y'all.
Go ahead, Mike.
I think it comes down to annual planning and regular meetings.
Mhm.
Thank you, Joe. Joe agrees with me.
Yes.
Talk more, Joe.
Oh my goodness, so we had a moment, a year or two ago.
Was the first one that Josh and I ever did, it was literally just him and I annual planning going. So what do we do now? And nobody could give us like a regular calendar year, what the pack is normally done, and we're like. We've been in place for like 17 years before that point. How did nobody written down like the annual calendar thing?
I'm even
Like,
going through Scout Book and looking at the old calendar events.
we could not, nobody. had-
Sometimes there's nothing in Scout.
Yeah, there was nothing.
Yeah.
After calling people, figuring it out, so it went from that to, I was like, we're not gonna do this again, Joe, let's make this never happen again.
So we had a moment where we had some leaders who were, we'll say, unenthusiastic about engaging with the pack.
Mhm.
And we were like, cool, this is our annual planning. This is where we're going to set and align everything that we're gonna do for the next year in broad strokes, more or
Mhm.
less. Like there's gonna be some fiddliness along the way, but we want to know, it's also where we do all our budgeting. So if you want any financial support from the pack finances, this is where to bring it up. And we had some leaders who were less than enthused about engaging, and we're like, cool. I'm gonna draw a little bit of a line here. If you're not helping us plan these activities for the year as part of our leadership team, you're not gonna be a leader.
Wow.
We can't do that. We can't like,
Right, the pack can operate as just a den. This is
yeah,
not
it's
like,
not a den.
a den is
It's
not
a pack.
a unit in and of itself, it's part of the pack.
Yeah.
It's what even the pack guide that I wrote, one of the things that we voted on basically as a bylaw was. If you can't attend the annual planning, and it's one thing if you got sick, there's an emergency, or hey, I don't have someone watch the kid, can I zoom in? But if you flat out don't come, we drop you as a leader. Well.
We have a
phrased it-
stern.
We phrased it nicely in the guide,
Yeah.
it says your position will be up for review with the key three.
Ooh,
Yeah.
We make
Woo.
it very clear, and this is what we tell all leaders when they come on board, that you need to be there, and if you can't engage, like, there's one leader who's probably not gonna be coming through annual planning. I know that she's gonna ask for her stuff, she's gonna send her opinions in, and I'm not
She's
worried.
gonna have-
But you're gonna be involved in
Yeah.
ways.
Exactly.
It's not like she's
About
voting.
it, as soon as I put it on the calendar, she was like, that is a really important soccer game, and I said, thank you for letting me
Right,
know.
life happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Life happens.
okay. So what is
You ignore it.
what is the number one goal out of annual planning? I have one primary goal. What is it? One
For us,
deliverable.
Deliverables for the whole
Oh.
month.
Calendar?
A month?
Yes.
Yeah.
The calendar.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
It's
Second one is the other one.
Who's doing it?
Yes.
How we
Yeah.
paying for it?
No,
And then
And the
that-
names down as we go down the
Yeah.
list, right?
What are we doing? Who owns it? And
Yeah.
how's it getting paid for?
our annual plannings have been so nice now, because we can be like, hey, we have this idea.
Potluck and we all.
Do we have a person to do it? Do we have a location? Do we have a budget? And there's things last year that got brought up where I was like, oh no, this is terrible. Thank you all for saying that. Striking the idea. It's
Yeah.
not happening.
And we had other stuff that came up, sorry, we had other stuff that came up and like everybody was like, actually, I don't think we have bandwidth for this. And we dropped activities and that was fine.
Yeah, right, other than stressing you out, right?
Yeah.
That's not nobody's gonna run.
Yeah.
Patrice?
Yeah.
okay.
So what you do with that calendar is really important too. So what I did was I went to Canva, I made a rainbow colored 1 year, like.
Oh, nice.
And we made colored copies, and anyone who was interested in our pack was like,
Yep.
here.
That.
This is this is what we're doing this year. Join us, right?
That is where I want to be.
Yes.
At the end of
Cause
this
that's the
year's
best recruiting
annual
tool, something,
plan.
here's our, you're already
Yeah,
planning.
and there's like a
Exactly.
QR code to the pack, and it's just like eye drawing.
Yeah.
Can we talk about using that in conjunction with how thrifty scouting is to be like, hey, guess what? This entire year of programming is gonna cost you like $100,
Or,
With some
or
of the-
sell some popcorn.
right? Yeah.
And you're on your
also
way.
for it, But like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the discussions that I used to, when I was doing the new member coordinator hat,
Mhm.
was I would talk to people and they're like, how much does this cost? And I'm like, well, our pack dues are, at the time, they were $60. And they're like, per month? And I'm like, no, that's for
Annual.
the year.
Yeah.
That's annual. They're like,
They're used to baseball.
yeah.
Right?
Like, we need $60 for a year. I'm like, well, there's like $120 that's registration for council and national.
Yeah.
And then our $60. So really it's like $180.
You're right.
And they're like, wait, for the year? I'm like, and then, I mean, yeah.
That's why it's the best program for a 12-month program. It's not, you're not just doing it for a 3-month
Yeah.
sport. This is for 12 months of school, most of the school year, but we do stuff over the summer, so 12 months of adventures.
And having that calendar visible to be like, this is what you get.
What you're signing up for,
Yeah.
right?
And, yeah, no, it's great. You guys, you got more to add? More to add?
They're taking notes.
Oh, no, because I just know that you have your calendar and having multiple things, like, at least, you get your pack meeting and what's the other thing? Right?
Yeah.
Pack meeting is guaranteed, but then what's the activity?
Yeah.
You know, and who's gonna do it, and there's some seasonal things that get pumpkin patch,
Yep.
and then there's.
You gotta get your derby on there. You
You know,
gotta get
I
your
went
winter
to a couple
lodge.
So
It
the,
was so
the
good
fall
to
is
be
packed with
back.
multiple things. But the key is just having that ready to rock and roll, and once you see, and also the plan, and putting people to like, okay, it's not like that things are things from scratch.
So-
You're not gonna have to
One other,
figure it out.
one other tool it's helped with is owning events. So if we know when the spring camp out is,
Mm.
we know when we're gonna need someone to own it by. We can very clearly say that if no one has owned it by this date, spring camp out's not happening.
Oh, a deadline for an ownership. Okay.
It's gone and there was people leaders who were like, oh, wait, I planned on this for advancement. I'm like, well, you should
Well-
have come to the plan.
Yeah, you're like, oh, because he says that your pack, your dad has to do this, but no, it's out there. There goes your,
Yep.
there goes your service project, because you're gonna do the service project that nobody wanted to leave, you know?
When we talk about things like running activities and getting training, we did talk about training, but getting training as a hook into leadership.
Ooh,
Because I was the only
Yeah,
blue chair
curious.
leader for like 2 years.
Okay.
And true, we had Josh, who was like, I'm happy to come to an event if we need it. But that's a rarity. And now we are up to 4.
Hey.
We are one of the last batch of balloon that we got Kim and gonna get a couple more
We
people
got,
getting there
like,
this
we
weekend.
have 2 or 3 now, and then Tim, Tony, maybe Jonathan.
Yeah, this weekend.
We have a whole bunch coming up this weekend as
Yeah.
well.
Okay.
Like, there's so many blue train people. I was like, do I need to go blue train?
Yeah, Ray and I were the only balloon train people for years as well. And then all of a sudden now we got this whole slew of
Yeah.
balloon train.
which is great to have that diversity, right? You don't have to be there.
Right, if somebody doesn't make it, then you still got somebody who's balloon train.
It was such a.
So how does that work?
Nothing can happen to you.
Well, no, wait, I want to hear about how that works as a recruitment
So,
thing.
one
Tell me
of the
more.
People who went to get balloon trained,
Yeah.
along with Sam and Stephen,
Okay.
is Liz's husband. So, and
We have
then.
a tiger and we have a 4-year-old, so.
Dragons are pretty sure
The
lions.
Dragon Scouts are the
He's our
best ones.
dragon, so he's been to every Cub Scout event this season,
Wait.
so understanding that we have younger kids, we understood that. Someone's gonna have to step into these roles, so we like just joined as tigers this season, and so.
That's five.
It was like a month in and my husband's like went to training, we're like, all right, we're in it. I
And you
guess.
just got her.
Oh my God, this was the best $5 we've ever.
I
spent.
was getting so frustrated that we were not having lions or we needed more tigers. And I made a Facebook event, my own $5. I promoted the event. I went and very specifically, it was for our summer picnic, like the end of August. And I was like, anyone come, free food, like just please come, please listen to our spiel. And I targeted very carefully. I said, parents with kids under age 10. And like even like we like really narrowed it down. I think there was even like under 5 or something. Outdoors, scouting, hiking, like made it really specific, set it for Hillsborough, Beaverton, Forest Grove, $5, ran it for a day. Her family showed up to our and
We love
they
them
joined
so
like that day. They were both throwing their hands up to volunteer, and it was the best $5 I've ever spent.
See, that made a victory all just because of that, right?
It was
What's the
so
thing,
worth it.
you need wins.
So I have a similar one to that we recruited 2 scouts, one each year, by simply going into the Beaverton Celebration Parade. And one of the youth, we hand out flyers, come check us out. And it's a September event, and we have a September join night, all that kind of stuff, right? And we ended up recruiting a scout who his life's mission was to be in a parade. Well, join us, you could be do it next year.
Yeah.
Sure enough. And we got a parent out of that. You just never know.
When he saw us in the parade, he was like, oh yeah, I was gonna join that.
Because
And that's how we got him.
we saw,
You just never know,
we
right?
saw his son, who's now in the troop, was on the roll. He signed him up to be a lion
Okay.
and never came.
Wow.
And it was one of those that kind of like the registration that kind of lasted into another year of like nobody. But then all of a sudden it was crazy going like it was awfully familiar. And then he brought his sibling. So it was a win. And the dad is super enthusiastic. So I mean, speaking of that, because we've pegged him to be a den leader, but he's kind of got the disposition to be, like a cub master type as well. So it's kind of like, how do you hate to like pull somebody out of one role into another, but Patrice was a den leader and then she came into the cub master role. So it's kind of like people will kind of move up once they've kind of shown their mettle, I guess.
I actually have to be honest, I became a Cub master because I don't like doing that leader.
And yet you made that awesome thing.
Teacher.
Yes,
So
that
I
makes
teach
sense.
all day. And
Wow.
then coming home and then,
Teach some
Oh.
more.
yeah, I gotta teach some more. And we get very murdery. Off the scouts. So I can be Cub master.
Yes.
We're gonna edit that out.
Because at least when she's talking she knows how to talk to the kids at meetings, but she doesn't have to sit there and show them each skill for that.
Yeah.
Because she can talk to the group as a whole, and commanding a group is a lot better than just the kids who are not figuring it out in their den things. So no, but cool thing is her husband also kind of slid into the
The
role.
whole family.
So
got
it
some.
becomes a family affair because her husband became the treasurer and now we became an AOL den leader and now the troop. So I mean, we understand. If you find those families that end up being like your go-tos and the whole thing's involved even easier and also helps with persistence, but how do you continue
You
to get your
do
work?
kind of need to also protect those families, because
Yep.
burnout is.
Oh, true.
This is
That's the
true.
thing.
Yeah, I made a point, I want to say 2 rain gutter regattas ago, where I went to one of our like key families and I was like, I do not expect any of you to participate in the organization and running of this event. I want you to be scout parents and chill. And they were like, oh, thank you. And then they did. And yeah. I was glad to be able to make that happen. I'm like, I do not need you and your family. You're great, but please enjoy the event as an attendee. Like,
Yep. So, I mean, I guess, how far do we want to go? Because I think,
Well, I got one more thought that I wanted to share, and I think this pertains to what the purpose of our program is. And yes, we're here to have fun and get our youth involved in fun activities they wouldn't experience otherwise. I think of all the things that my boys did for the past 11, 12 years that would never have happened without scouting. But we're also here to connect with troops and make sure that we have those conduits to send these youth that want to continue and try to encourage them. And there's a lot of things we can do. I wonder if you want to share what things you do as leaders to maintain those conduits to your local troops. Do you reach out? Do you get den chiefs? I know that COVID threw a wrench into everything and we're all coming back.
Our AOL, the second year of COVID, we're like, so what do we cross into? And I was like, don't know.
I was gonna say, I thought we're doing a pretty good job
We better
of
help.
populating the troops with our own person.
lots of things like,
We're just sending
well, what our pack has always done, we would invite them to our opening campfire to help with flag. They did our closing, our graduation campfire to help with flag. They help with our Pinewood Derby. And so so the kids see these kids at the higher level. Now, 383, there's kind of been this grudge match thing where these guys go to 2 different troops and,
It doesn't have to be a grudge
doesn't have
match,
to be a
by the
grudge match,
way.
but sadly it was a really heavy duty pressure campaign
Yeah.
this year, which kind of backfired a little and turned people off. But the thing is, as long as it's even keeled, and also we try to get den chiefs. The den chiefs, we opened up to, hey, you can bring, and granted, I mean, there should be a better way of assigning den chiefs to dens and those scouts who really want to do the job, but we welcome them from those troops because of, and it's a good opportunity for them to have leadership roles, but also kids to be exposed to those troops. Like Hannah's one, from 162 as our pack, we have
Awesome.
them from 419 and we have them from 870. And I mean, effectiveness is certain varies, but having them attend our events and inviting those, invite them, to keep those relationships going, and it could open up to more troops, but we don't have too many.
Our oldest, both of our oldest crossed to 240 because 240 showed up to stuff. And they
Oh.
saw leaders and
Right.
we're gonna go there.
We
Interesting.
have two troops that are sort of the main ones that all of our scouts go off to. And we have representatives from both those groups come to almost every single one of our Pinewood Derbies. We
Mhm.
usually have them come to the Rain Gutter Regattas.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try and see if I can get at least one of them to come through and do a flag ceremony at a pack meeting to see how
They
And they
do.
older siblings of kids who are still in the Cub Pack, if they have siblings that are in scouts, and they usually participate too and come and so.
Have you? I know you all go pack camping,
Yeah.
right? Have you invited a troop to come with you, camp next to you, and run some programs, especially for your weebs and AOL?
Our idea now to do it.
Never thought of, I don't know.
About 12 years ago, I did that and it was amazing. And it formed a bond.
I was a little worried about the multi-unit camping stuff.
Okay.
But I guess you could, if you wanted to get a little skirty, like we just both happen to show up at the same
I
place.
don't think that's a problem. Yeah.
If they would have.
Now-
Right, so like, you
And-
have Flying J at View Creek and they have, what's the one above it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Or
And
we
you
could-
happen to meet in the field to go do some scout skills. I think that's just fine. You have your own reservations, you have your own sites. Yeah.
We did Ireland, one of us took the field, and one of us took the upper.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the other things that we do is we strongly encourage our scouts both years to go to Weevil Woods.
Yeah,
And the first,
that's
the
good.
first year at Weevil Woods, don't even consider.
Yeah, no
what-
pressure.
Just go have fun.
Just go see what this is and get inspired and hear the yells.
Second year is kind of reinforcing where they're going.
Exactly.
Speaking of Webelos Woods, do we have any idea? Because that's Canadian Thanksgiving weekend for me, and
Wow. Time for
um,
what, poutine and maple syrup?
it just it's a
So,
lot of traditionally Thanksgiving.
As your district commissioner, I can tell you that I believe we have a reservation on the calendar. We'll see if Virginia chimes in. My understanding, you can get at your notes real quick. It should be October 17th, 18th, and 19th. I'm sorry.
We're just not gonna go to Canadian Thanksgiving.
I mean,
It's okay. This is a priority. This is legit a priority. It's become a priority for our family. My
You know
daughter-
what? I have a suggestion.
Yeah.
We could have somebody like Joe come in and help us with program. The entire program could be Canadian Thanksgiving. Why not?
My God.
Why not? Why not?
Poutine Cracker Barrel.
Poutine Cracker Barrel, maple syrup for everybody.
Poutine Cracker Barrel's awesome. I mean, it's not just at 2 o'clock in the morning though.
All you gotta do is go talk to Jeff Deline and say, I want to make Poutine Cracker Barrel
Poutine.
a thing.
International scouting.
This is exactly, we're all friends here.
We might be done with.
Look at us, Dave. We're making connections.
Yes.
Oh my God.
We're embracing our Canadian brother.
I have my grandmother, my great, I have a recipe going back to 18.
Hey, I love it. So I guess, I mean, I think the connection has been made right here. Of course, there's only 2 packs. So hold on.
We're gonna have to wrap this up so they can plan.
Yes, yes. So you guys can get together and have your, take over. So, anyway.
I'm out of topics. I'm
Okay,
good.
well, thank you for those that, Mary, for joining us online.
Yeah, they've been quiet.
Anyone else join online?
If and Virginia's the one that's been chatty. Heather and Derek have been quiet, but I think they appreciate the idea.
Derek's not exactly a man of many words.
I'm
He's pretty chill.
just wait for the chime. It's all good.
Do you know what a Canadian butter tart is?
Canadian butter tart. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Let's see if she's listening. She's on mute.
Yeah.
This is a quiz, and it's going to go on YouTube.
Butter tart.
It is a recipe that dates back, like it is an objectively Canadian recipe. It was the earliest extant printed version of it comes from a Canadian cookbook from 1800. It predates the pecan pie. It is a similar tart shell, with a maple brown sugar, like eggy kind of
That's
stuff
not way
in
better
it.
than pecan pie.
Exactly, and it's got some raisins in there, if you like them. They're small, they're bite size, so you can just eat them, and they're this crunchy, like pastry with this really rich, sweet maple caramel in them. They're the best thing in the world. They take like 10 minutes to bake. Like,
I'm in.
yeah.
I don't like the brain nuts anyway.
So
there you
Derek Sturgill is apparently citing history books. Heather's going to spare us the details. So,
go.
no response from Virginia, but
Yeah.
I think we need a recipe
Yeah.
exchange.
There you go.
So at my work, we've started a book club at lunch. I think we need a recipe exchange here at the Cub Scout Breakout. I'm going to go ahead and delegate that to Mr. Markel over here.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, I'll have to get it for the Canadian butter.
Oh, we have a new message. Okay, so Virginia does not know what was it, butter,
Canadian butter tart.
Canadian butter tart. So we need some more information about this. This is incoming.
Excuse meetings, I'll make one next time.
Oh, this is cup grub.
Challenge accepted.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and call that a wrap on the recording. Thank you for being a part of it.